Today I'm going to be making a sandwich I call the spicy venison melt. It's a delicious sandwich that I hope you guys will love, and you can make this from venison, a couple of venison roasts like we're doing today. You could also make it from elk, moose, antelope, any of those hooved animals obviously you can cross with, or you can just use beef. So we're going to show you how this recipe works. It's pretty simple. It does take a little time because we do a brining process for the meat, but it is well worth the wait. So first thing we're going to show you today is how we are going to make the brine. We have the brine made right here, and we'll have that recipe obviously. One note of caution: when you are making the brine, be careful if there's people in your house, because my family came stampeding down thinking there was something delicious already for them to eat. There wasn't, but it does smell amazing. So what I have here, we have 2 venison roasts. These are off of a young deer, so they are smaller. So altogether we have about 2.5 pounds of lean venison. I'll put it in this brine. Make sure your brine is fully cooled off. We threw it in the fridge and threw some ice in it so it's nice and cool. You do not want the meat to start cooking. So the brine, that's going to soak into the meat overnight. That'll add some moisture so that as it cooks, that'll cook out. That'll leave some flavor in there, but more importantly, it'll take the place of the fat that you would have normally cooking out and hopefully leave this meat nice and moist. We got a airtight container right here. I'm just gonna throw the meat into the container and then take our brine and pour that right over. This brine is also going to be the base of our au jus. So this is going to be cooked down once we roast it. Then we'll get any drippings that we have in there as well. And we're going to have a delicious product. Again, it smells amazing. I can't wait to taste it. Hopefully it tastes as good as it smells. So we're going to put that in the fridge again for 8 hours or overnight. And we'll catch you guys in the morning, finish off this video. Good morning, everyone. So we have our brined meat right here, and we're gonna take it out. It smells delicious after soaking. It's been in the fridge overnight. Definitely can feel some added weight. From the brining process, it also takes on a darker color. So what we're going to do is we're going to let this sit out for a little bit, come up to room temperature, And then we're gonna pat it dry before we apply our paste that we're gonna put on the outside. And then we'll get it cooking. All right, so while our meat is drip drying, we're gonna mix together the paste that we're gonna put on the outside of our roasts here. I got it's a spicy brown mustard. This is French's spicy brown mustard. And all of these flavors that you're gonna see and go here, they're gonna combine to make a beautiful crust. It's not gonna be an overwhelming flavor of mustard or whatever else you see me put in here. So this is a 12-ounce bottle, and I am going to go ahead and use all of it. Next we have a 1.6-ounce bottle of anchovy paste. Some of you may not like anchovies. You may have regrettable feelings about that. It does look a little weird. It may sound a little weird, something you're not used to. But in the culinary world, anchovy paste has many uses. Adding flavor is one of them. So again, this is not going to make it taste like fish. It's not going to make it extremely salty. So just squeeze out that whole tube of anchovy paste. All right, we got that. Next, we're going to add, this is a coarse grated horseradish. I'm going to add about a tablespoon, 1 to 2 tablespoons of horseradish. So we got our paste going here. We're gonna mix it up really well. Again, none of these flavors are gonna be overwhelming. They're all just gonna add to the deliciousness. Getting a nice little crust on here. All right, so we got our meat here. Now we're just taking a paper towel and we're just gonna pat all around it. Getting the excess moisture off of it before we put the paste on. Next, we're gonna add, you guys guessed it, Montreal steak seasoning. One of my favorite go-tos, simply because it already has the coarse salt, coarse pepper, garlic. So just sprinkle that on all sides. Press it in. All right, so we got our seasoned meat. Now we're gonna take our mustard mixed paste. I like to use a serving spoon, something that's nice and big and that can hold the mustard. Just coat it. You're gonna flip it over. Coat the other side. So we're gonna take our next piece of meat, just do the same thing. Apply to all sides. Now we have our oven preheated to 425. Some of you may think that sounds pretty high for a roast, and it is. However, we're gonna do the first, I think we'll do the first 20 minutes at 425. And then after that, we're gonna reduce the temperature and cook it until we reach that internal temperature. I'm going for a medium rare, so 135 for the internal temp. And then we're gonna refrigerate it for a couple hours before we cut it and serve it for the sandwiches. So we are almost ready to go into the oven. Last thing we're gonna do, we got our brine here. We're gonna ladle some of that. Don't put it on the meat, just fill the bottom of the pan so that it is covered, again, like we talked about. The rest of the brine that we're gonna save because this will be reduced for the au jus for the sandwiches. Get a few bay leaves in here for the deliciousness. The one key with this, don't fill the brine so full that it's going to be touching the bottom of the meat, because we want it to be sitting above. All right, so we're going to start this for the first 30 minutes. Probably the whole time it's going to be uncovered. If you do start getting too much browning, you can either, if you do it in a roasting pan, you can throw the lid on it, or if you're not using a roasting pan, just throw some aluminum foil tensing over it. You don't want it touching. All right, let's throw it in the oven.
All right, so that's what it looks like after 40 minutes at 425. Now we're going to turn the oven down to 300. And we're going to set the timer for an hour. Again, the internal temperature that we're looking for is right around 130, 135. Okay, well, we're done with our first hour at 300 for the roasts. I don't have an internal oven thermometer to leave in the roast, which would be nice. If you do have one of those, that would be great, and then you'll know exactly when it reaches temp. So we're just gonna throw our thermometer in here. And this one is temping out already at that 135 mark. So again, this was 2.5 pounds of roast to begin with. So you need to adjust your cooking time accordingly to the size of the thing that you're cooking. So we're gonna let this cool off and then we'll turn it into some sandwiches. This is our brine. I suggest running it through a strainer. Then we are turning it on high. Once it comes to a boil, we're gonna boil it for approximately 5 minutes. One addition that we're gonna make is we're gonna put 1 cup of red wine in here. Again, boil it for approximately 5 minutes or until it reduces by about 1/3. Here, we are gonna be using 2 Poblano peppers and 3 jalapenos. These we want to, I want this to be a somewhat spicy sandwich. We also got 2 large white onions that are sliced so they fall apart. We're going to be sauteing all this up together along with, let's do like 6 cloves of garlic. Sauteing up all that together. Depending on the spice level that you want. If you want it extra spicy, keep the seeds and the membranes in, the jalapenos. If you don't want it spicy, obviously, get rid of that. we're getting that nice caramelization on the onions and peppers. These are almost ready to go. And we start building our sandwiches. All right, guys, so the meat turned out delicious. It's tender. It tastes amazing. Soaked up that brine really well. Great flavor. A couple things I would do a little differently. Because of the size of the roasts, because they're small, it came to temp quicker than I would like. So we didn't get quite as cooked of a crust as I would like. So I would say keep that topping a little thinner than I did. And I'll add some items of thought regarding that in the description as well. But overall, amazing product. Even if you were just going to use this to do as a roast beef or something like that, it's delicious. So great results so far. We got a griddle here. If you don't have one of these, you can just use an iron skillet. All that we're going to be doing is laying down our sandwich fixings. So we're just going to lay down our layer of meat first. Try to shingle it a little bit, that way it'll stay together. That just means overlap it. Then on top of that, we got our gorgeous mix of onions, Poblano peppers, jalapeno peppers, and garlic. And then on top of this, we're going with our provolone cheese. We're doing 3 slices of provolone. Press that down a little bit, make sure everything's got some good contact with the heat. Heat should be on something around medium low. And then we're going to cover this to allow it to get a nice melt going. So here we got our beautiful bread. Trying to open that up without breaking it all the way. First we're going a liberal amount of mayonnaise. Both top and bottom is the way I like it. Next, we're taking a steak sauce. Throw that on there. So there you have it. We're calling this the spicy venison melt. Look at that deliciousness. Just melted everywhere, cheese everywhere, got that meat, everything. Now we're gonna cut into this thing and see how it is. I love a nice crunch on the bread. This is, I think, a Parmesan Asiago bread. There you see just cheese running everywhere. That steak sauce mixed in, mayonnaise crusted. We'll be biting into this in a minute.
down with my water.
All right, so what does everybody think?
Well,
We have the spicy venison melt. Here goes the first bite. Well, to quote one of my favorite celebrity chefs, I just took a trip to Flavortown, and I hope you guys are enjoying the ride as well. It's delicious. Not too spicy. Great flavors coming through with the venison that soaked up the brine, just amazing. Provolone cheese just makes a nice deliciousness, and to me, that mayo and steak sauce, laying that down, just amazing.